Thomas Skinner has faced fury after landing a role on this year's Strictly Come Dancing, with some fans even suggesting they'll be boycotting the series over his inclusion. But is the backlash in any way justified, or is this all more overblown nonsense from people glued to their keyboards? Hi, I'm Alex Davies, entertainment editor at GB News, and this is GB News Originals. Today, I'll explain why a man who's famous for selling mattresses has got dance fans needing a lie down. We should start by explaining who Thomas Skinner is for those in the dark. Skinner shot to fame on The Apprentice in 2019. He endeared himself to Lord Sugar with his cheeky chappy sales acumen and overall conduct in the boardroom. A deal with Lord Sugar wasn't to be had, however, as the pillow company owner was fired 9 tasks in. However, unlike many of the BBC show's candidates, Skinner didn't vanish into obscurity. The following year, he landed a spot in the Celebrity MasterChef kitchen, while he also enjoyed his newfound fame on panel shows like 8 out of 10 Cats and Michael McIntyre's The Wheel. He's even enjoyed a pint or two on TV with a certain Mr. Farage. But it wasn't just in the mainstream media where Skinner was making his mark, as, thanks to his Bosch catchphrase, patriotic tweets, and videos of him eating roast dinners at 5 in the morning, he's become somewhat of an online sensation. So why the outrage? After all, this is a year where the BBC has unveiled its first ever drag queen contestant and confirmed trailblazing model Ellie Goldstein will also star in the Strictly lineup. Surely this is a year where our differences should be celebrated, and such a diverse lineup on what remains the country's biggest show is a good thing. Well, yes, unless there is any inkling that you may not align politically with the show's audience. Enter Tom Skinner. Those who follow Skinner online will know he's not exactly one to conform to politically correct or quote-unquote woke trends. He caught a fair bit of slack recently for urging followers not to bow down to the woke who are offended by a full English. Of course, in that case, the hyperbole went over the heads of social media users who had already determined he was the far-right devil for previously daring to express his pride in his country. Skinner's updates online predominantly centre on spreading positive messages to his fans, while also shedding light on how his family is doing, what deals he has on his market stalls, etc, etc. But of late, his opinions on culture wars and politics have garnered the most attention. Even US Vice President J.D. Vance has become an unlikely ally after spotting Skinner's X-feed. Skinner has maintained throughout his time in the spotlight that politics don't interest him, but that's not been enough for his opponents, who have weaponised a recent get-together during Vance's UK trip to claim he's suddenly everything that's wrong with the world. But if his social media activity alone wasn't enough to land him on the wrong side of cancel culture vultures, Skinner's past run-ins with the law have also been pounced upon quicker than the fake tan in the Strictly locker room. In 2011, Skinner was sentenced for handling stolen goods. He addressed the incident recently in an X post in which he responded to backlash. "I did get arrested when I was younger. In fact, I got arrested several times, and I've been charged and paid the price for my convictions," he defiantly said. Now, some may argue that a criminal conviction would mean it's fair game for Strictly to face criticism. I mean, why would they cast someone like that? Well, God forbid anybody would raise the fact that Paul Merson was charged with drink driving before his Strictly stint last year, or that he was once arrested and cautioned for an alleged assault of an ex. Or Jessie Wallace, the EastEnders star, was arrested for drink driving in 2003, and 5 years later she was in the ballroom. The same policy goes for ITV. Remember the fury surrounding Boy George's I'm a Celeb stint in 2022? A man who had been sentenced to 15 months in jail for falsely imprisoning a male escort and handcuffing him to a radiator? No, me neither. That's because people were too busy losing their minds that Matt Hancock had dared to try and redeem himself in the eyes of the public by eating kangaroo private parts instead. I admit it, he failed. And what about all the protests outside the Big Brother house for all the times they've welcomed a housemate with a checkered past? Gary Goldsmith's guilty plea to assault didn't stop ITV putting him in the house in the hopes he'd spill the tea about his niece, the Princess of Wales. There's Stephen Bear, Marco Pierre White Jr., the list goes on. Now, I'm not endorsing for 1 minute what these people did in the past, or that someone's history should be held against them for the rest of their lives. What I am arguing, however, is that the outrage to Skinner only exposes the hypocrisy of the left, that all of a sudden run-ins with the law are now the be-all and end-all if someone's politics aren't necessarily progressive enough.
Hello, I'm Bev Turner. Now, it can feel like the money in our bank accounts at the moment does not keep up with the cost of living, and maybe there's a solution. I'm here today with the CEO of TallyMoney, Cameron Parry. Cameron, what is TallyMoney?
Well, Bev, with TallyMoney, you get a current account and a debit card, but instead of pounds, you use milligrams of gold as your everyday money.
So why gold?
Gold traditionally is a great store of value. It has, on average, gone up at over 11% per annum for the last 25 years against the pound. It's tripled in value in the last decade. And in the last 2 years alone, it's increased by 50% against the pound. Banks' savings products just can't compete with that level of growth.
But this isn't just about gold. This is about a currency that you guys have created at TallyMoney. Explain it to me as though I'm an idiot.
So, look, people need to be able to hold their earnings and build their savings in a money that retains its value and remains in their legal control and remains theirs to access, away from government control.
Great. You had me at not exposed to government control.
You should feel safe and happy with your money. You should have peace of mind the more money you see in your bank balance, and that's the type of thing we're trying to deliver and give people choice in the type of money they get to use every day.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Cameron. Thank you.
Then there's his education. Skinner has faced criticism for attending the private Brentwood school. Currently, it has day fees of £29,000 a year or boarding fees of £56,000 annually. Skinner has claimed he attended the school on a scholarship. But even if so, what crime is it that you cannot be privately educated and have a Cockney accent to go on Strictly? I imagine the same mob would be furious to know Strictly contestants including Ore Aduba, Jamie Lang, Chris Hollins, Hamza Yassin, and more avoided state school. God, the fury when they discover that host Claudia Winkleman studied at the illustrious City of London School for Girls. I'm sure it will be intense. Skinner has also been accused of being far-right and even racist ahead of his Strictly stint, simply for daring to go against the grain that so many in their social media echo chambers do. So-called political commentator Narinder Kaur, for example, claims the BBC has shown unconscious bias for accepting Skinner on the show. Allegedly, they rejected her for a role because she's not, quote, a quiet brown woman. However, it may have something to do with the fact that Skinner is actually famous instead. Look, I don't necessarily agree with Skinner on quite a fair bit of what the cultural or political stuff he says online. I'm not a massive J.D. Vance fan, I don't think the world is bowing down to wokery, and I definitely don't agree with having a lasagna before most people's alarms have gone off. But I definitely don't think he should be facing such a torrent of abuse simply for expressing his patriotism or for making public his political leanings on certain issues. It's a dance competition, but if the left continues to attack a man they disagree with, you best believe those on the other side will rally behind him. And before long, we'll have a Eurovision-esque, politically motivated voting system where even the glitziest of sequins or most mahogany-coloured of fake tans will fail to mask any semblance of impartiality amongst the voters. For once, can we ignore the politics, cultural takes, and just focus on the dancing? Now there's a sentence I never thought I'd say. I've been Alex Davies for GB News Originals. If you've liked what you've seen, please subscribe to our YouTube channel and download the app from the App Store.